I was sitting alone at a corner table in the Blue Ridge Cafe, nursing my third cup of coffee, when I heard his voice cut through the noise of forks and conversation. Michael, my ex-husband. I froze mid-sip and slowly turned my head. He was 2 tables away, surrounded by people I used to call friends, laughing like he didn't have a care in the world. She actually thought I would let her succeed, he was saying, his voice dripping with pride. I told everyone what she really was: unstable, paranoid, a gold digger who couldn't even hold onto a man. The table erupted in laughter. Someone glanced my direction with pity in their eyes. That pity felt worse than the mockery. I caught his reflection in the window glass beside me. He was smirking, absolutely certain of his victory. My hands trembled around the coffee cup. The humiliation burned like fire in my chest. But I didn't stand up. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. Instead, I took a slow sip of my coffee, met his eyes across the room through the mirror, and smiled. His smirk faltered for just a second. He didn't know what that smile meant. Nobody did. My name is Lauren Price. Or at least it was. I'm 32 years old, and I used to design interiors for a living. I used to be good at it. I used to believe that hard work meant something. I used to think that building a life with someone meant they would support you, not tear you down. That was before Michael. That was before everything changed. Before the lies started. Before the rumors destroyed everything I had built. I was born and raised in North Carolina, in a small town where everyone knew everyone else. My parents were teachers. They taught me that kindness mattered, and that honesty was the foundation of everything. But somehow, I ended up marrying a man who had never heard of honesty. He was charming when I met him. He was a salesman, good with words, quick with compliments, always knowing exactly what to say. He made me feel like I was the most important person in the world. He made me feel safe. I didn't know that charm was just his weapon. The doubts started small. We were having dinner with his family one evening, and his mother asked about my latest design project. I was excited to share it. It was a boutique hotel renovation that I was really proud of. But before I could finish my first sentence, Michael laughed. She thinks she's going to be some big-time designer, he said to his mother. It's a cute hobby, but let's be real. She's not the type of woman that serious clients take seriously. His mother giggled. His father nodded knowingly. I felt my face burn. I wanted to defend myself, but the words got stuck in my throat. That night, after dinner, Michael apologized in his smooth, practiced way. You know they were just teasing, he said. But honestly, Lauren, sometimes you dream too small. You lack confidence. Let me help you become better. I believed him. I thought he was trying to help me. I didn't understand that he was actually breaking me down, piece by piece, with kindness as his tool. A few months later, something amazing happened. A major real estate development company called me. They wanted to hire me to design a luxury model home for their flagship project. This was the opportunity one had been waiting for my entire career. This was my big break. I was thrilled. I told Michael immediately. I thought he would celebrate with me. Instead, he looked at me with something that looked like pity. That's ambitious, he said carefully. But you're going to embarrass yourself. Honestly, I'm not sure you're ready for something like this. I felt something die inside me. But he softened his words with a kiss to my forehead. I'm just being realistic, he told me. I care about you too much to let you fail publicly. I started to doubt myself. Maybe he was right. Maybe I wasn't ready. A week before the project started, Michael asked to see my portfolio. I handed it over eagerly. He took it to his office to make some copies for me. I never saw it again. He claimed he forgot to send it to the client. The company had to hire someone else. I cried for days. Amber was my cousin. She was 5 years younger than me, beautiful, charismatic, and I loved her like a sister. Or at least I thought I did. She started spending a lot of time at her house around that time. Michael seemed to enjoy her company. He kept talking about planning a surprise for my birthday, and Amber was helping him organize it. I thought it was sweet. I thought my husband and my cousin were both wonderful people who cared about me. I was naive. I was blind. Looking back, I can see all the signs I missed. The way they looked at each other when they thought I wasn't watching. The way they laughed at private jokes. The way Amber suddenly always had an excuse to come over. But I didn't see it then. I was too focused on trying to become the woman Michael wanted me to be. Too focused on proving that I could succeed despite his constant criticism. Too focused on anything except the truth that was happening right in front of me. I came home from a client consultation one Tuesday afternoon. It was early, around 2 o'clock. I had forgotten my design samples and needed to pick them up before my next meeting. The house was quiet when I unlocked the door. Too quiet. I climbed the stairs slowly, not sure why my heart was suddenly racing. When I pushed open the bedroom door, everything stopped. Amber was there, wearing one of my robes. Michael was in our bed, our marriage bed, looking completely shocked to see me. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then Amber started stammering. "It's not what it looks like." Michael just smirked. He actually smirked at me. "You weren't supposed to come home," he said, like I had broken some kind of rule by showing up to my own house. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there, feeling something inside me shatter into 1,000 pieces that I would spend years trying to put back together. I packed a suitcase that night with shaking hands. I called my mother and asked if I could stay with her for a while. She said yes immediately, but I could hear the confusion in her voice. I didn't tell her why. I wasn't ready to say the words out loud. But Michael was ready. While I was still driving to my mother's house, he was calling people. He was crafting his narrative. By the time I arrived at my parents' house, the story had already started spreading. Michael told everyone that I was mentally unstable. He said I was paranoid and jealous. He said I had accused him of things that never happened. His family believed him. Our mutual friends believed him. Even some people I didn't know started giving me strange looks when I went to the grocery store. I became the crazy ex-wife. I became the woman who couldn't hold on to her marriage. I became the villain in a story that Michael had written. My interior design business fell apart quickly after that. A client I had been working with for 6 months suddenly canceled our contract via email. No explanation. No warning. Just gone. Someone left a comment on my business page saying, "Don't hire her. She stole from her ex-husband and tried to ruin him." I had never stolen anything in my life. The lies were so bold, so obvious, that I almost could have laughed. But nobody was laughing. Nobody was questioning the rumors. They were just believing them. I sat in my empty design office one afternoon, looking at the bills piled on my desk. Rent, insurance, software subscriptions, utilities. All of it adding up to nothing because nobody wanted to hire me anymore. My phone barely rang. My email inbox stayed empty. The space that I had rented with such hope and excitement now felt like a tomb. I sat at my desk in the empty office and let myself cry. Just one tear rolled down my cheek, but that was all I could manage. After that, I went numb. I could have fought back. I could have gone on social media and told the truth. I could have called Michael's friends and explained what really happened. I could have hired a lawyer to send cease and desist letters. Instead, I made a different choice. I decided that I wanted him to forget I existed. I wanted him to feel like he had won so completely that he would stop thinking about me altogether. I closed my design office. I deleted my website. I changed my phone number. I moved to a new apartment in a different town about 40 minutes away from where Michael lived. The only thing I kept was my pain, and I kept that close. The divorce papers arrived on a Tuesday. They were surprisingly simple. Michael had already filled out his demands. He wanted the house, most of the savings, and my silence. My lawyer advised me to fight. But fighting meant staying connected to him. Fighting meant more conversations, more court dates, more reminders of what he had done to me. So I signed the papers with shaking hands and sent them back. He had taken everything else. I wasn't going to let him take my future too. My new apartment was tiny and unfurnished. Just 4 empty walls, a bed I borrowed from my mother, and a single window that faced a parking lot. But it was mine. It was the first thing that had ever been truly mine without a man's name attached to it. I sat on the floor one night and started sketching. Not for a client. Not for money. Just for me. I drew spaces that healed. Rooms that felt like safety. colors that reminded me of freedom. The sketches were raw and angry and beautiful all at the same time. They poured straight out of my pain. After about a month of sketching, I made a decision. I was going to rebrand myself completely. I would use my maiden name, Lauren West, instead of Lauren Price. I created a new email address. I designed a new logo, a single-line drawing of a window with light pouring through it. I created a new business called West Design Studio. It wasn't much. It was just me in a tiny apartment with nothing but my sketches and my determination. But it was a start. My first client came through a freelancer website. She was a widow named Eleanor who had inherited a small bungalow from her husband. She wanted help making it feel like her own space again, instead of a place full of sad memories. I met with her on a Saturday morning in her living room. She was in her 70s, with kind eyes and hands that trembled slightly. She told me about her husband and their life together. She cried a little. I listened. Then I told her about my vision for her home. I designed something elegant and warm and healing. Colors that felt like comfort. Furniture arrangements that encouraged light and movement. Personal touches that celebrated her life without dwelling on her loss. When Eleanor saw the finished design, she actually cried. She hugged me and told me that her home finally felt like a place where she could breathe again. She recommended me to her friends. That recommendation led to another client. That client led to another. 3 months into my new business, a local lifestyle blogger named Cassandra featured my work on her Instagram account. Her post said, "This designer doesn't just create beautiful spaces, she designs homes that feel like therapy." The caption included the link to my website. The post went viral in our local community. Within 48 hours, my inbox was flooded with inquiries. People wanted to hire Lauren West. They wanted the designer who created healing spaces. Nobody knew that Lauren West was the same person who had been destroyed by rumors just months before. Nobody knew that I was designing beautiful homes while living in an apartment with almost no furniture. The contrast was almost funny. I took on as many clients as I could handle. I worked late into the nights and early into the mornings. I balanced my bills and my deadlines and my fragile sense of hope. For 2 years, I built my business quietly and methodically. I worked on residential projects, small renovations, boutique spaces. Every job was done with the same care and attention that I had given to my first client. Every project was a small victory against the narrative that Michael had created about me. West Design Studio slowly attracted wealthier, more prestigious clients. My work started appearing in design magazines and lifestyle blogs. People began to recognize my style, minimalist but warm, modern but personal, designed with intention. I was invited to speak at a design conference. I was nominated for an Emerging Designer Award. But through all of the success, I stayed quiet about my past. I didn't tell anyone who I used to be. I didn't mention Michael or the rumors. I just let my work speak for itself. I was playing the long game, and I was patient. One evening, I attended a high-end networking event for designers and real estate professionals. I was standing near the appetizer table when I overheard 2 designers gossiping near the bar. They were talking about a man who kept bragging about how he had destroyed his ex-wife's career. They were laughing about how pathetic he was, still talking about an ex like she mattered. I didn't turn around. I didn't reveal myself. But I smiled to myself. Michael was still talking about me. Michael was still thinking about me. That meant I was still in his head, even as I was building a life he knew nothing about. He had no idea who Lauren West was. He had no idea that his ex-wife had come back from the ashes with a new name and a new identity and a new level of success that he would never reach. A magazine wanted to feature my work in a major spread about emerging designers. They asked for my background information, my history, my full name for verification purposes. I hesitated when I read that request. This was the moment where I could reveal who I was. This was the opportunity to tell my story publicly and reclaim my name. But I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for Michael to know that I had become successful. I wasn't ready for the confrontation that would inevitably follow. I wasn't ready to stop playing the long game. So I contacted the magazine and asked if they would feature my work under just Lauren West, without my full legal name. They pushed back a little, but eventually agreed. The feature came out with a beautiful spread of my designs and a short bio that didn't mention where I came from or who I used to be. It was enough. I didn't know much about what was happening in Michael's life. I had no social media accounts that tracked him. I had no mutual friends who updated me with news. But somehow, information filtered through. My mother mentioned that Michael's business was struggling. Apparently, his company had lost several major contracts. Amber had left him for someone wealthier. He was living in an apartment now instead of the house he had been so proud of. Through it all, according to the gossip, he kept telling people how he had ruined me. He kept bragging about what he had done to my career, my reputation, my confidence. He seemed to need to tell people this story over and over again. He needed to remind himself and everyone else that he had won. But he didn't know the truth. He didn't know that his ex-wife had become someone new, someone strong, someone successful, someone he would eventually regret. Then came the call that changed everything. A celebrity influencer who had seen my work in a magazine hired me to redesign her penthouse. This was the biggest project of my career. The project that would take West Design Studio from successful to famous. The project that would put my name and my work in front of millions of people. I threw myself into that project completely. I spent months on every detail. The penthouse was stunning when it was finished. It looked like a work of art. The influencer posted photos on her Instagram account, and the post got over 500,000 likes. Suddenly, West Design Studio was everywhere. I was being invited to design galas and conferences. I was receiving requests from celebrities and wealthy business owners. My success was becoming undeniable. One of the new inquiries came from a woman named Natalie. She had seen my work and wanted me to redesign her luxury home. She sent me a photo of the house in the initial email, and I felt my stomach drop. I recognized that house. It was the same house where I had lived with Michael. He had kept it in the divorce settlement. I sent back an email saying I would do the consultation. Natalie was thrilled. She told me that her fiancé would be present for the design meetings. That's when I knew. Her fiancé was Michael. He had moved on to someone new, someone who could afford his lifestyle. And that new fiancé had hired the one designer he would never expect to show up at his door. I spent the night before the consultation sitting in my apartment, breathing slowly, preparing myself mentally for what was about to happen. I arrived at the house on a Thursday morning in professional attire. Dark suit, confident posture, professional clipboard. I was Lauren West, the successful designer. I was not Lauren Price, the broken ex-wife. When Michael opened the door, he froze. For a moment, nothing happened. We just looked at each other. Then I smiled politely, extended my hand, and said, "Hi, I'm Lauren West, your designer." He stammered. He looked confused and shocked and angry all at the same time. Natalie came around the corner, beaming. "This is the amazing designer I told you about," she gushed. "She's the best in the region." Michael's face went pale. I turned to Natalie and said, "Let's talk about your vision for this space. What do you want your home to feel like?" Natalie talked about wanting her home to feel strong and grounded and beautiful. I listened carefully and took notes. I addressed her as my client and professional. I didn't look at Michael once. The power had shifted completely, and we both knew it. Over the next few weeks, I worked on the renovation while Michael grew, increasingly unstable. During design meetings, he would try to provoke me with comments about my work or my past. But I never flinched. I remained completely professional. When he asked why I was charging so much, I explained my fees with calm confidence. When he tried to have me removed from the project, Natalie defended me immediately. She loved my work. She appreciated my vision. She thought I was one of the most talented designers she had ever met. Michael's frustration started to show in front of Natalie. He became temperamental and rude. One day, during a meeting, I suggested a design element and explained that strength comes from what survives the fire. He looked at me like he understood exactly what I meant. Like he finally understood that I had survived him. Michael tried to get me fired from the project. He called my office and demanded that I be removed. I didn't answer his calls. I let them go to voicemail. I continued my work with professionalism and excellence. The house began to transform into something beautiful. Natalie was thrilled with every stage of the renovation. Then something happened that I didn't expect. A journalist who was working on a story about successful women entrepreneurs recognized my name in connection with the Natalie project. She started researching my background. She discovered who I used to be. She found the articles about Michael's affair with my cousin. She pieced together the entire story. Then she reached out to me about writing an article. The article was titled, "Designer Rebuilds Career After Ex-Husband's Public Betrayal." It told the story of how I had been destroyed by rumors, how I had reinvented myself, and how I had become more successful than ever before. The article was published in a major national magazine. It went viral overnight. Suddenly, everyone knew who Lauren West really was. Everyone knew the story. Everyone could see the contrast between who I had been and who I had become. The article included quotes from Michael's old colleagues who confirmed that he had indeed spread vicious rumors about me. It included interviews with former clients who said they had dropped me because of false information Michael had provided. It included the timeline of everything that had happened. Michael's entire narrative fell apart. The lies he had been telling for years were exposed as lies. Within days of the article being published, Michael's business partners pulled out of their contracts with him. Clients dropped his services. His reputation was destroyed in a way that mine had been destroyed years before. But this time, the destruction was based on truth. This time, justice had caught up with him. I didn't feel angry or victorious. I just felt tired. Tired of thinking about him. Tired of carrying the weight of his betrayal. When he tried to contact me after the article came out, I didn't respond. I didn't owe him anything. Not an explanation. Not forgiveness. Not even acknowledgement. I just let him disappear from my life the way I should have let him disappear years before. 6 months after the article was published, I received an award for Innovative Designer of the Year. I stood on stage in front of hundreds of people and accepted the award. When they asked me to say a few words, I stepped up to the microphone and spoke calmly. "Success isn't about revenge," I said. "It's about remembering who you were before someone else tried to convince you that you were nobody." I designed beautiful spaces for my clients, but I also designed a beautiful life for myself. And I did that by refusing to let anyone else write my story. The room erupted in applause. Standing ovation. I looked out at the crowd and felt something settle inside me. Peace, maybe. Or closure. Or just the simple knowledge that I had survived. One afternoon, I found myself back at the Blue Ridge Cafe where it all began. The same cafe where Michael had sat 2 tables away and bragged about destroying me. I ordered my coffee and sat at a corner table. On the counter, there was a magazine rack. My face was on the cover of one of the design magazines. Underneath my photo, the headline read Lauren West, the designer who built her dreams. I watched as a man walked into the cafe. It was Michael. He looked worn down and tired. He ordered a coffee and stood in line waiting. His eyes drifted toward the magazine rack. He picked up the magazine. He stared at my face on the cover. He looked confused at first, then angry, then something that looked like regret. But I wasn't there to see his reaction. I had paid my bill and left without him noticing. I didn't need to see his face anymore. I had moved beyond that need. I had moved beyond him entirely.